Hello and welcome to our next podcast. This one is on co-production, and if you've been following Dimensions for a while or our podcast, you'll know that co-production is something we are quite into, as in we do a lot of work around it. So I would like to introduce our guests. Who are Jess and Hugh. Hugh, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Chelsea. Hi, Jess. I'm Hugh. I'm a trustee with Dimensions, and I also work across the social care sector for many years.
And Jess, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Chelsea. I'm Jess. I'm I'm an advocate for people with autism and learning difficulties about to keep themselves safe from domestic abuse and sexual education and helping each other. I've also done a few co-production things. So thank you for having me.
Hi, I'm Chelsea and I'm the Vice Chair of the Dimensions Council, and we've now done this for 11 episodes now, which is quite bizarre. And I have done lots of little co-production projects within Dimensions and outside of Dimensions, thanks to them. So yeah, I know a little bit about what we are doing today. I also like to talk in case you have just switched on to this podcast. So this podcast is about co-production, and we will be exploring it. We won't have an update from the Dimensions Council because, of course, everyone wanted to be busy and do their other stuff. Let's pretend they all went on holiday for a few weeks and had a lot of booze on that trip. We also got the Lingo Bingo, and you would think I know which way around it was by now. We also so we would really like you to comment in the YouTube section. We want you to share it with everyone. This includes all the pets. It includes all the family members that don't want to listen after listening to the fifth one of my voice. We want you to share it all through your networks. So yes, please listen to our podcast. It's much better than the celebrities. And don't forget, there's my favourite part of it, which is the download section, which I always find something to talk about. So we would like to invite what we think is our first external guest, who is Jess, by the way, which makes us sort of do one of our values, which is partnership within Dimensions. It is quite exciting to find out you're the first one we are going to have, though, Jess. What do you think of that honour?
Oh, that honour it's great to be that honour. Thank you very much. It's a privilege. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting stuck in and seeing what you all do.
So our next topic is about co-production, and as you can, that's why we have Jess and Hugh with us, which they are experts in their field. This week is National Co-Production Week, so of course we wanted to talk about it because it's such an important part of Dimensions. So the one of them is, why is it so important to work well with people who have support, and 2, how it feels to be involved in genuine co-production, because it's very important for people, different stakeholders, to actually be involved in a co-production element. So for the people we support, it's important for them to have their say. Proper co-production is actually everyone having their say from the beginning and go all the way through the end, and being asked to join into a project that has say. So if we put that on to the Parliament, we would have had all the beginning of the process co-produced with people all the way until it's made law or legislation, not from them having their say notifying us, but it's all that. That's what we want throughout, making everyone have their say. Do you agree with me, Jess and Hugh?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, I think that's spot on, Chelsea.
Thank you. What do we know as people with lived experience that other people involved in projects can't know?
Well, personally, I think it means that people with lived experience, and it's very good that people without lived experience, touch on these subjects and learn from these subjects. But me personally, I think there's nothing like a lived experience. You've gone through it, so you can tell it from a personal point of view. Instead of saying, oh, this is what you should do to stop this, you can say, I've done this in this way, and this is what the consequences are. This is what happened to me.
Yeah, I think it, with actual lived experience, you can sort of say it more with it. And also the term lived experience is being used widely, not for people with learning disabilities and not autism. It's becoming like lived experience with homeless and stuff like that, and that's just making everyone aware that there's that terminology to
everybody has lived experience on something, don't they?
Yeah, and we all want to say our saying. What do you think, Hugh? Do you agree with us or not?
I do. I mean, anybody with lived experience, and most of us have lived experience, aren't we the experts in our own lives? Aren't we the people who can bring experience and knowledge about how we want to be supported, what we need, what we dream of, what we want in the future? And if you don't ask those questions, and if people don't listen, then we're not going to get it right, are we?
If you don't stand up and say, this is what we want, or this is what happened to me, so please listen.
I came up with an idea on our ideas list. It was this whole list of ideas, and I then came up with podcasts because I thought that was like inventive, but we came up and it got backed by the Dimensions Council, and I've now ended up hosting it for now 11 episodes. We're coming up with ideas of what we want to talk about on the council. We have Michelle in the background, our little ninja, and we do that whole project where it's now like going out into the Dimensions sphere and out online so that people can hear us.
Well, I was just going to say, that's a great example, isn't it? What you're talking about. That's, I think lots of people and lots of organizations, they talk about co-production. They think they do co-production. I'm not sure you can do it, but they think they can do it. But I'm not sure that they really understand it. If you just do a piece of work or you design something for another person and then you ask them if that's okay, people think that's co-production, and that's a long, long way from partnership and involving people. It's a long way from equality and equity, you know, and we've got a long way to go.
Yeah. Whereas this is like the Dimensions Council comes up with the subject. Sometimes it's the staff, like being co-production week. I sort of run it. We sometimes have our Dimension members come in and have their say also. So they have their say, they choose what they do.
I mean, for me, some of the best examples I can think about on co-production, well, the reality is you've got to understand that it takes time to do it properly. If you're going to involve people, and you can involve properly and equally, then yeah, it takes a bit longer, and I think that puts people off. I think that puts the system off. You know, if you think about some of the go on, Jess.
And it's also hard work because there's different people on different views, and one can be very strong and put out their views there, and somebody else can just stand back. So you've got to be quite careful that no one person is taking over, which can be quite hard.
Yeah.
And also, if you tell someone how to do their job all the time, they're not going to want to listen anything else. So you're doing it counterproductive.
Well,
there is that.
That's a big challenge, Jess, isn't it, in co-production? I agree, because people think they know what co-production is, but actually when they ask people to be involved, they ask people for their views, I'm not always convinced they want to hear them, because the system has already made a decision. The system has said, these are the resources, and this is the sort of support that, you know, is best for you.
Yeah.
And sometimes when we involve people, it takes a bit longer, and actually sometimes we hear stuff we don't want to hear.
Yeah.
You know, you think, well, that's actually more difficult. That's going to be harder to achieve.
When co-production goes really well, it can be good, and you can do some really good stuff. Like we done a whole booklet on digital inclusion in easy reads, and for support workers, you got the same sort of viewpoint, or not viewpoint, but you both sort of think strongly. And I found that a bit of a challenge, and I had to bite my tongue sometimes, and you know, I'm better at it now.
I was just about to say that I think with Dimensions, with the co-production we do in the council, I was just thinking about it, and I was there going, I wonder how high Dimensions has set this standard for co-productions within Dimensions, where it would be different somewhere else. I was like thinking about that, and like if I go to a different organization, will they have different say they co-produce, and then I'm there going, well, this doesn't feel co-produced.
I think what Chelsea is talking about with other organizations is it's a journey, isn't it? You know, people, individuals and organizations and projects and communities, they're all on this journey towards understanding and trying to embrace, you know, real co-production, you know. So, you know, I've been really lucky. I've been working with Dimensions, obviously, but with other providers as well, More Than a Future, Social Care Futures. We've been putting together some events that have been talking about changing social care, you know, what we think about social care in this country. You know that, Chelsea, because you co-led and co-produced one of the sessions in London for us, which was great. And why is it important?
Yeah, and I got a totem bag as well from them.
Hey, there's always a freebie in there for you, isn't there? And the thing about what made those different was the fact that they were co-designed, they were co-developed, they were co-delivered, which is essentially what co-production should be, isn't it? I mean, that's what it should be.
Yeah.
And what turned out differently was that they weren't conferences, that they were events, weren't they? Full of stories about people and projects. They were examples about how people with lived experience give to the community rather than just get support. You know, and I think what Co-Production did then was we didn't know what the end was going to look like. I didn't know what the end was going to look like. The end was the end, created by lots and lots of people with love and passion and fun and ideas and all of those sorts of things. And for me,
you want people to see co-production like what we did at the event, Hugh, and then everyone going, actually, I quite like this, and then taking it off. That's what you want. You want to inspire them to go, maybe we should have this in our care, or oh, there's other people that are similar to us. Sorry.
No, I couldn't have put it any better, because that's what we were all trying to do, you know, inspire people. Because when we all together get it right, it's a powerful reminder, isn't it? That, you know, when we co-produce, the quality of people's lives and the quality of local communities just gets better.
It can also be hard, but you're aiming for the same. You're all people aiming for the same goal. You may not get there at the same way as everybody, but you're all there to produce something, and you've all got the end goal. But when I see something that I've co-produced with my colleagues or whatever,
does it make you feel proud?
I think, oh yes, I've done that. That's really proud.
So what do organisations do to help you co-produce in the way that you do?
Well, like today, you've all been very kind and gone on Zoom, because that's the area, that's what we're used to, and I like. They've always let me have support with me if I wanted it, or my mum or whoever, just let me be who I am and have the resources that I need to actually join in and be comfortable. And Rod, even though he's with art, he's always on the end of the phone. ARC is it's Association for Real Change. They do lots of different things, you know, it's not one thing, they do lots of different projects.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Of course you can, Chelsea.
Who can how do people join ARC, or is there a rule about it?
No, there's not a rule. But if you want to know, there's a website that tells you all about it.
Or is it like a closed group for?
No, not at all. So all they ask is you've had lived experience.
So what is your top tips for great co-production?
Top tips. Right, I think get your culture sorted. It's not a project, it's not a trendy thing that you can bolt on.
What do you mean by culture? Because some people might not know.
What I mean is, if co-production is going to be real, it's not a project that you can bolt on. It has to become how you do stuff. It has to be believed by everybody. It takes time, so you've got to be patient. You've got to be strong, because you don't know what the outcome is going to be. You can't, you know, you're not always in control, because it's a shared process. So you don't know what's going to happen at the end of it. And more importantly than anything, I think if you're going to have a top tip, it is you have to work out and really be committed to understanding how everybody can make a contribution. You know, so some people haven't got such great verbal skills, their communication skills are more difficult. So that doesn't mean that they shouldn't have absolutely a place at the table and be powerful in their voice. It might mean that we have to work differently about how we listen to that voice. And then finally, my top tip is, well, be prepared for what comes out at the end, because it may not be what you think.
Yeah, you go in one way. And it's completely different.
Absolutely.
And now, challenge the lingo bingo.
Challenge the lingo, lingo, lingo. Challenge the lingo. Bingo!
And today's vocabulary is I am not helping you clean your property. We are cleaning my home together. Because property might be an empty home. So, Hugh and Jess, how do you feel about the lingo bingo today? About cleaning the home together, not cleaning the property.
Yeah, I think what you said was really good. Especially you, Chelsea, because the property could, like you said, could mean that it's property up for sale or not being not lived in.
Yeah.
So yes, yeah, it's not cleaning the property together. It's cleaning, helping the tenant or the person who they're supporting cleaning their own home.
Yeah, they're interesting sentences, aren't they, Jess and Chelsea? I mean, one's about a service and one's about a life. I mean, that's what it seems to me. You know, I mean,
but we wouldn't say that to you, Hugh, who a non-supported person, you know.
And that's right. That's right, Chelsea. I mean, you know, what those sentences do is they, you know, do they forget that it's about a home? We've, you know, hopefully most of us have got a home. I mean, some people haven't, and they're working hard to get one. But it's about that respect of where that support is happening and how that support is happening, isn't it? You know, that's for me is the two very different things. You know, it's your home, and you're getting some support to look after that home in the way that you want to look after it. I mean, that's for me, that's what it's all about.
This is the download section. We'll start off with Jess. What have you been doing recently?
What I've been doing recently? Well,
hobbies, interests, that sort of thing.
Well, I've been doing I like the soaps. I haven't watched it for a long time because I have to catch up. I've got a lot on record, but I like watching my telly. I have been doing some colouring. I like, but also I like writing poems. So when it was the lockdown and that I done some poems for the lockdown, how I felt, and sometimes what it looks like out my window.
And Hugh, what have you been doing?
I've just read Lessons in Chemistry, which was a great book. I've enjoyed watching Glastonbury. I love putting my playlist together, and I'm very lucky because the weather's been great and I spend as much time as I can in my kayak out on the water.
Thank you. So I have had a bit of a moment where I've gone off to the farm up near where I am, and they've got a cafe and they have this Roots to Work program, and I've done that for several weeks now, and yeah, it's been nice to get up and have a whole day to do stuff. And I've learned how to try and do the till, but everything keeps changing on the till. Like, I don't know how to search for things. That's the struggle I have. And people ordering. I have a new complaint section on. Okay, you can imagine people ordering loads of things and trying to process what they're all saying. So I'll let you leave that to your imagination. Very overwhelming. So we would like to thank Jess for coming and joining us today. And yes, for being our first one on our podcast. And we would like to thank Hugh for joining us.
Thanks, Chelsea. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Chelsea. Lovely to be here.
So thank you for listening. If you want to contact us, we are at Dimensions Council at dimensions-uk.org. Please send us messages. Please keep our involvement team so busy that we don't know what else to do. We want that. They might not want it, but I want it because then it gives me more things to do. So please keep us occupied.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. We're excited to have a real expert and Hugh.
Thanks.
Okay, Hugh's an expert.
Thanks, Chelsea.